Yeah, I'll go, Madhvi.
Okay.
Even for me, also it was challenging, but that is the reason I have completed only 2.5 hours of meditation on Saturday and 2 hours of meditation on Sunday. Sunday I was not feeling well, a little bit tired in the afternoon, in the evening. That is the reason mostly I'm completing my almost 1.5 hours of meditation in the early morning itself. That's what I did today also. So it's good for me. And even Sajjan Sangatya also, Saturday and Sunday I couldn't do more, I think. Watching the videos, I completed more than the time we decided. But Sajjan Sangathyam, because I didn't join, and yesterday also in yours, my time 11:10 I joined. By that time, only you spoke, you and Srikanth are speaking for some time. And I have a question, Madhavi. Mm, for Sajjan Sangathyam, even if we listen also, it is okay, right? When others are
Yeah.
speaking. Yeah.
Yeah.
When we don't speak, yeah, that's why it also counts under such, yeah.
Yes. Anything relating to meditation. So
Yeah.
speaking is different, but anything relating
Yeah, I
to
understand.
meditation.
Yeah, that's what yesterday I heard you both speaking. I joined at 11:10 EST.
Mhm.
Only 5 minutes you spoke, and afterwards you shifted to meditation, I think. And before that, also, you spoke for 10 minutes, and you were saying that to everyone to share their experience, their doubts or experiences, like Srikanth and you, right? You were saying at the end. Mm,
Uh-huh.
yeah. And that's my, yeah, as you said, I also felt a little bit challenged on the weekends when compared to weekdays. It's okay.
Yeah, I think what you said, Salja, is true. Like if we do it first thing in the morning, how much ever we can in the weekends. So that
Yeah,
way, uh, the major thing of meditation will be complete.
yeah. For me, 1.5 hours every day I'm doing in the early morning, so it's not so then it will be good because I'm enjoying that time also. That is the reason I'm even weekdays also I'm doing in the early morning. Otherwise, whole day I'm not able to sit like that because I'll have will have work, Kada Madhvi. That is the
Mhm.
reason. Yeah. Thank you. I thought that Balagalu will join today. Only
Yeah, what
Deepika
happened to
and
Balagaru? She is
uh,
very
the,
regular and prompt.
yeah, Deepika and uh, Prachi are there. I'm going on mute. My name is
Mhm.
over, Madhavi.
Sure. One thing I realized today morning is when I was like doing meditation, so much of energy was coming. I don't know what it was, but I felt very good. Deepika, yes, Amma.
Hi, friends. So, mine, as far as meditation is concerned, it was good. I could able to do it because, as Shailaja said, I also do it in the mornings. So, it was good for me. But only book reading, when it came to book reading, I couldn't complete. And I don't know, because afternoons I slept off both yesterday and day before. By the time I take the book, I slept off. So that is the only thing. But for me, two things what I observed because of this program was I was, there was no craving to watch TV for me. Usually, otherwise, weekends, you don't have any other thing to do after finishing the whole housework. So much of time would be there. I used to think, okay, I need to put some movie or something and sit and relax and watch. So yesterday and day before, I never felt that okay, weekend has come. I need to watch movie or sit in front of TV. I never felt that craving only was not there. I was thinking, oh, that's a good change for me. And then one more thing I observed was even the food also has come into good control, like I can say, because usually junk or whatever snacks in between snacking, somehow it has come down. I just eat in the morning and the evening we are having lunch, dinner. In between, usually we used to go for something or the other, some snacks, some munching in between. But what I'm seeing is with this program happening since 7 days, that food craving also has come into control. I can say that was what I observed. So it's a very good thing. And this long hours of meditation is giving very good because only I am observing when we are sitting 2 hours in the morning, only after 1 hour of meditation only we'll go into the deeper states of meditation. I could just see the difference. I am able to connect more deeper and be in that thoughtless states for longer time in after 1 hour duration.
Mm.
So this is very good actually. 3 hours actually increasing from 2 to 3 hours is also good maybe, but at a stage because morning kids have to go to school continuous 3 hours. It's not happening. Only thing is we have to get up early and see that how we can make it. But as of now, 2 hours in the morning, it's a very good thing. So thank you all.
Thank you, Deepika. Nice inspiration that you gave us. Definitely, actually, last week I was thinking that usually everybody are doing 1 hour meditation. And then I said, like, this is the second week. So we should do at least 1.5 hours to 2 hours, minimum. Minimum is 1.5 hours. And you can increase, as you said, like if you want to go ahead for 3 hours of meditation in the morning, go ahead and do it. But from this week on, from tomorrow, we will do minimum 1.5 hour meditation in the morning. And
mornings, that's what, mornings 1.5 2 hours is possible, but beyond that, if we do, it will be more good. That's what, continuous 3 hours will be very good, I think so. But for that, we have to get up early. So we need to work on that.
Yes. I mean, this week we will just focus on 1.5 hours to 2 hours of meditation in the morning, nothing more.
Yeah, this is definitely helping, because this group is there. We feel like, okay, you have to do it. That compulsion or something is there that pushes us to, extend our boundaries and do it. So it's good that we are coming out of comfort zones and doing it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. One more thing I have noticed is, I'm adding one thing. Patriji also has to say. I have seen efficiency has increased in whatever work I'm doing. That I have noticed. When strictly we are following this, really it's adding. As Deepika said, the mind is not going anywhere to watch any movie or anything. It's going to spiritual thing only, listening, doing, and our work also when we are doing it is related to like we are trying to keep our mind on the work we do, right? Focusing on that, and it is also mindfulness, and everything leads to spirituality, right? It is really good. The efficiency increased. That not only the efficiency, the inside joy has increased for me. Beautiful. And behind the eyes also, I feel so happy and so nice whole day it will last. Thank you so much.
Very true, ma'am. Very true. Absolutely.
Good to see you, Andi Balagaru. We were missing you.
Good to see you, because while driving to Houston, I listened to Lahid Mahasaya's book reading from Padma. That's it. And after going there, it was very difficult for me to focus and do any meditation because we stayed in my younger brother cousin's place, and then the people, they were inviting and insisting to come every day, to all those. And then later on, like the weather also in Dallas area, it's so cold, and but overall everything went well. Only the thing is I could not do much, especially vacation over there.
That's okay, Andy. I think especially when you go to weddings, you just have to be in that present moment and enjoy.
So I thoroughly enjoyed, and then they were very happy we went there. But yesterday, completely, I did 3 hours meditation, and I did, I listened and I read the book, Peter Richel, but I'm glad I'm back.
Yeah, when I saw your message, I said, yes, Balagaru is back.
That's what I thought, Balagaru. That is the reason immediately when I came when I joined, I asked Madhavi, I thought that Balagaru will come, she didn't join. Because I also, after seeing the message, I thought that she is back.
Nice.
Yeah, it's so different. In the environment also, when it is different, it is difficult to focus.
Yes.
So and especially because of this cold weather, I think I started having some eczema, on my foot and all. And so when I took the tablets, I was so sleepy, and so it's getting adjusted. But overall, I'm happy. I'm back to routine. Yeah, and also, this Lahid Mahasaya's book, it's amazing.
I know, it's like,
wow.
He's teaching so much about Kriya Yoga and how we should be. It's really, the 4th chapter, the 4th episode, and 5th episode.
I read almost 2 times because it's so hard for sometimes to miss something. Yeah, it's amazing how much he put into his diary, and then how they translated. Amazing.
I know, Andy. It's really, I mean, I think it's in Hindi. It's from Hindi. They have been translated to English, to Telugu. I think everybody should read that. Like, I mean,
Original.
like the way he tells.
Is there in Hindi also?
Yeah,
The
actually, he has
Hindi.
written in Hindi, it seems, but they've translated to Telugu. So it should be in Hindi.
I'll search it up.
Yeah, the amount of knowledge about spirituality that he has told us is like profound information. I mean, like I'm so attached. I'm so glad that we picked that book. And Deepika, you should listen. It's like how you are in samsaram, and then how you have to get into spirituality. What is the best way to do it? These kind of things he talks like over and over. And Padma,
talking about the audio book or
energy vastundandi tanu chadu cheptunte.
Yeah.
Oh, she's reading it out, is it? Padma madam is reading out that book?
Yeah.
She's
reading and explaining. At the same time, he followed mainly the Gita book most of his time, in Lahiri Mahasaya, and he interpreted so nicely. In those days, his interpretation is so, people were amazed how he interpreted. Even Kurukshetra, he interpreted differently.
Okay.
And
which one did you say he interpreted so nicely? The last
Dharma Kshetra Kurukshetra.
First sloka of the Gita, Bhagavad Gita, first sloka.
I'm very ajnanam to the. I don't even know anything about Bhagavad Gita.
He said, Dharma Kshetra, whatever we, with this Kshetra, with this body, with the Dharma, we had to do. And then Kurukshetra, Kuru is, he said, the duty. While doing our duty with Dharma, and with Dharma, we can also, being in samsara, we can attain nirvana.
Actually, he says being in samsara only, it is so easy for you to attain nirvana or to get into a next level of spirituality than being sannyasi.
Otherwise you don't have emotions or anything to deal with, right? Feelings, emotions you don't have if you become sannyasi. So
and lot of sadhus also, ashrama sannyasis, they used to come to him. And also I remember one sannyasi at older age in Kashi, he was suffering, nobody was there to take care of him. And then he sends his two sons. And also one lady was taking care, and later, he sends his two sons, because then that person says, your father is so great, being in samsara, he is doing all this. And, that is an example. And also he mentioned. So, wonderful book. I think we learn, we have so much knowledge.
Yes.
Yeah, we are all fortunate because Padma Amma told us so many times and times to go through those episodes.
Yes.
That is the reason, Madhavi, you have picked. I am so glad that even I also listened, I think in 6th day or something, what Balagaru just mentioned. One at the time of that sannyasi, one sannyasi. He says,
before he died, he suffered. Nobody was there to take care.
Yeah, and also first or second also I liked all those ones where he says that he taught Nepali king and then Rani and also other people, all those things really, and they're mentioning that they have
not only kings and their families, but also a barber, his own barber. He was also
even his wife also he taught. He didn't.
Nobody was going to him, to his barber, but he was the only one who was going and getting it. One thing that is really good about Lahiri Mahashaya is it's his own diary that he has written. So from that diary, they have got this book out. So like usually, when we experience personally how we write it down, I think those are the things, because that is why I think we are getting so connected to Lahiri Mahashaya's book, because it's his experiences that he's sharing in his own words. So that makes a lot of difference.
Yeah.
And also like doing his duty correctly, with the, That's amazing. And how
surrender is so good
Yeah.
in him. I mean, like, he's like, he has given me that trouble. He will take care of it. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like the kind of surrender. It's like, oh, nu chesnavu kabatti nuve chuskoli నాకు తెలీదు. I mean, sorry.
Even their daughter's marriage, they didn't have any money. And then wife asked, we had to do the wedding. We don't have any money. No, don't worry. It will come. And the same way somebody gives some money,
Actually, the situation, he says, this is the situation that he has created. So he will take care of it. Don't worry.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Even one of his Sishyas also.
Let's listen to Prachi before we get into our Swadhyaya.
I was really enjoying this conversation. So as everybody's, my weekend was tough to spend in meditation. What actually, there was a very good opening for me, a realization for me this weekend. While we did a lot of I mean, Saturday, I just did 1 hour, 45 minutes meditation. I didn't get to any book reading or anything. And me and Komal always talk only about spiritual things. That's all we talk about. Though we are like Nanad and Bhabhi, right? My mom thinks, who are you two? You two are not even Nanad Bhabhi. It's like you both are best friends, and all we talk. And then she always asks, what did you talk about? I said, same thing. Nothing else. We don't talk about house. We don't talk about anything else. We just talk about this. So my Swadhyam always goes either with my dad when I call. He's totally into spirituality. So the only thing we talked is about any topic related to this. So Swadhyam already occurs, but the book reading was I couldn't get to it. So Sunday morning was very interesting morning. I had Vishal sir's class, but before that we had a homework to do, and it's called a parental review. It was learning about the fifth mirror. So a very interesting thing happened. So in the class, the homework was, we have to review our parents, what we think about parents, negative, positive, everything. Luckily, when me and my husband was doing it, my son came down. He's 13-year-old, right? So he came down, and I said, you know what? Why don't you also do it? So it became like a Sunday breakfast activity for all of us. And very interestingly, I told him that even though your parents are right in front of you, you have to list a positive and negative aspect of both of us. So him being like, he's like, okay, I'll do it. And then he actually, because the last week I was very much involved in meditation, I have increased my meditation from 1 hour to 3 hours. And he sees me that, and I was not able to give time much to talk, especially in the evenings. So this is where he took out. And he said, the negative aspect, he said, you are not spending that much of time with us. So this is what he said, you're not giving us time much because you are overworked in meditation. The words was, you are overworked in meditation. So I took it I said, okay, good that you told your heart out, right? So, but that made me think what to do. So in our class, when I had an opportunity to talk to sir, I said, this is what my son said, being a 13-year-old. What do I do so that I don't feel guilty about it and I don't continue, doing? The way he answered was very amazing. And I thought that nobody told me this, or maybe if somebody did, I never did it. I never did this to my kid. So what he said is, don't feel guilty about what he said, because Vishal sir said that go back and see how long have you been into this meditation, which is hardly 6 months, 8 months, that you have been really aggressive about meditation and spreading the journey and all this. So it's only been 6 to 8 months that you have not been able to give him the time that you should give. But before that, you were giving the time. So basically, he's just making a belief right now based on the current situation. So first of all, you have to understand that it's just a belief that he's making. And before it goes deep, you need to take care of it. So I asked him, how do I take care of it? Very beautifully, he said, we talk to our children about meditation, that do meditation. These are the goods and bad about meditation. so that they should also do it. But do we talk about what we are doing? Do we talk about that when we are spreading the meditation, uh, whose life are we changing? We are changing so many people life. They are getting the benefits. They are now doing the meditation in their own way. So basically we are changing lives to many people. So he said we don't share those stories so that they don't feel proud of their mom and dad, that my mom is spreading the meditation, my mom is changing lives, my mom is uplifting others. So that proud is not coming. They think it's a waste of time because you are not giving them time. So now they will be away from the meditation. Why? Because it's for them this activity is waste of looking at you. This activity is waste of time. But now when you share the stories that you have changed, that you are uplifting others, this is making them proud of what their mom is doing or what their dad is doing, or whatever their parents are doing. And maybe this will help help him understand that what and wherever we are spending this time is is good for him, for others, and for myself too. Maybe this is when he will start understanding and take it in a correct way, rather than thinking that this is a waste of time, and because of this time my mom is not giving me a time, right? So that belief has to change. So I really like that. And then the other thing that I understood after this, I was talking to my husband, that this particular a small realization, that I'm not sharing the stories of people, whether we are hearing about it or whether we are not here. Even a small little change, that you said something and somebody started doing meditation, they take over their emotional issues or stress, whatever it is. Second thing what I realized is, very 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 thin line. I looked into myself and I said, first of all, am I really accepting that I am changing the lives? I myself is not accepting this, that I'm changing somebody's life. Because what I felt, the moment somebody will tell me, or the moment I will accept it, that, oh, I changed this person's life, I will have this ego, or I will start having this ego that, oh, I changed somebody's life. So I was talking to my husband, maybe this is the reason I don't talk to him, because first of all, I'm not accepting it, that I really do that, right? So then we were talking and he said, maybe the difference is, when somebody appreciate you, you take it and then you leave it. Don't keep on going saying the same thing again and again to other people. Like I'll call Komal, that, oh, you know what, this is what happened, I changed, this person got really benefited, or this person said this to me. Then I'll call my dad, then I'll call my friend, then I'll call Vinod. Then, like many times in a day, I'll repeat that same thing over and over again. What happened? Suddenly this ego came, that, oh, I did it. So this is where we were talking, and I realized that what Patanjali Maharshi says, vairagya, detachment. Okay, you did it, good, accept it, and then let it go, detach it. So this is what a very deep conversation, where I understood something about myself, that I was not taking it, I was not accepting the appreciation, and I was running behind it, that if somebody will say something good to me, I don't want to listen, because that will turn into ego. So this was stuck, and this got cleared yesterday. So it's all with the Sajjan Sangatya. Again, I didn't do the book reading yesterday because this was a very deep knowledge itself for me, and I kept with it. And then I took time out yesterday evening to play with my family. We were playing board games for almost 2 hours, and they really liked it. So I felt that part was fulfilled with him, being home. And so I felt that this was necessary at one part of time, and I did it. So this morning, realizing that last 2 days.
I want to mention one thing in Lahiri Mahasya's book. His brother-in-law's son, when he was sick, he gets cured with Lahiri Mahasaya's medicine. And then he was in 20s, early 20 or something like that. So he takes the Diksha, Priya Yoga Diksha. He starts regularly, with his uncle. He starts doing a lot of meditation. He was doing so much meditation. Lahir was not doing his work properly and not earning any money. Then Lahiri Mahasaya, he calls him and then says, lower your, don't do this much, go and do your duty, and then take care of, your family. You're not earning, enough money. You have to balance, your meditation and the family. He says, reduce number of hours, whatever you're doing, and do your duty outside. That's what he says. So I think it's a kind of balance, when you are in a family life, we have to balance.
Yeah.
I agree
Especially the
with
kids
you.
are young, so you should not feel bad when you have to spend time, spend time.
Yeah, that's what we did last night. I wholeheartedly, because when I said at 9 o'clock, I was done with my work in the kitchen. And I said, okay, now nobody disturb me. I'm going to sit and do my 3-hour meditation, completely. And then my son come to me, would you play board game with us? And I'm like, okay, let's do that. So I said, okay, let's play. And we played until 11 o'clock. Nobody knew the time. We were all sleepy, but, we still played until 11 o'clock. And then I did my 45 minutes meditation. But at the end, I didn't feel guilty about it. I felt that wherever it was necessary, it was done. And very nicely, whole thing happened. But I also took a vow that from now on, I'm going to share the stories, because his pediatrician, when he was born, he has a pediatrician, right? Now she's retired. So she came back in meditation. When we started our Florida group, she started doing meditation regularly with us, and now she's very good mentor also. So she was in that class, and she suddenly unmuted and she said, Prachi, go tell your son that you change his pediatrician's life. And I'm like, okay, so I have to, I think this is where I learned that to be balanced in everything, not to go over, not to go under, whether it's appreciation, whether it's ego, whatever it is, the whole thing. So I learned there that this is where I have to balance. And from this morning, I completed my 1-hour meditation. I completed my half an hour book reading. I was doing the Yogananda audio listening before this class. So all that thing came back. I'm like, okay, no, it's Monday. I have to be back with my work. They are back with their own work. I need to come back. I understand weekend is for the family, and my husband was feeling left behind too, because I was just talking and doing same. I think it was out of balance last week. Just for me to complete it, somewhere there was a balance was gone. So this is what I learned. The weekend was very, very powerful for me to learn how to balance, and so this was nice. Yeah.
I have two things to say, but I will save it for later. Komal, do you want to share, Komal? We are going.
No, I'm at lunchroom, so it's okay. Go ahead, I'm listening.
Okay. So quickly, then I'll share two things, and then we'll start our book reading. One, regarding the ego. Yes, what you said is true. But what we need to consciously tell ourselves is, it is because of the Antaryami, because of our inner being who is there, who is helping us to do all these great things. So consciously, if we keep telling that to ourselves, then that the ego will not come. What you're telling yourself is, yes, I mean, you have to be proud, but at the same time, not the ego, right? So tell yourself that your Antaryami is doing it. He's making you do all these things. Imagine, like, all along we didn't make any difference in anybody's life, but now the fact that we are in spirituality, we are making difference in people's life, and that is happening only through help of your Antaryami. That is only through help of the inner being that is there with you. So if we keep on repeating, sometimes when it doesn't, like when I feel the inner voice will talk to me. It's your Antaryami. So the next time I will say, if it is a person who is spiritual, then I will say my inner being or Antaryami or whatever the words that we call it as. But if it is a different person, I'll tell myself it's not you, it's your, inner being that is helping you. That comes to me naturally because maybe a few times I've practiced it. And sometimes when people say, oh, thank you so much, I feel uncomfortable. At the same time, I said, no, I have to accept it, but be happy, but make sure that the ego doesn't kick in. Because ego and forgiveness are the two major things. If we can conquer those two things, we can reduce the number of lifetimes. So these two things keep on, I mean, like, because we are conscious, it will come. And regarding the family life balance, in Lahiri Mahashaya's book, what he says is, from morning till night, he does all his work. And when people are sleeping, either he studies or he does sadhana. So, I mean, that is what we also agreed, right? When we were talking in the beginning, we said we should do the first thing before the kids rise. We should finish like our meditation, so that way it is out of our way, and then we can do much more in the day. I think when this kind of situations, when this kind of group that we are in, we are telling ourselves and we are experiencing that these are the good things that we can do, so that the family doesn't complain. I mean, it's not a complaint. Family doesn't feel that they are left out, I would say. And at the same time, we are also keeping ourselves organizing ourselves to do the right way. I think that is why we are all in this group and then doing these things. So, we are all very fortunate that we are doing this, so that we are getting hands-on experience of how to balance our spiritual life and family life. Do you guys remember where we stopped? I know we didn't finish chapter 4.
39.
39, yes. Chapter 4, kada?
Chapter 3, right?
3, is it? 39. Let me see. 32. How come we are still on chapter 3? We did 5 days last week.
I think so.
Oh, chapter 4. Okay, I think let me share the screen. If you guys so all of us are so good in reading the books all by ourselves, huh? $37, Deepti. Sorry, Deepika.
38 ending lo unnamu, so 39.
Avuna? Okay. Well, let's read from 38. Maybe we'll get the continuity. Who wants to go first? We all will take turns. Like now, we are 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, right? So we can all do 10, 7 minutes of reading.
I can read, Madhuri. Okay, Prachi will go last. Okay. So from where we had to read, Amma?
Start the net result of this seemingly useless death.
The net result of this seemingly useless death was that firstly, the husband and wife paid off quite a number of units of karma through their suffering. And secondly, the child who had earned the right to be given a good education by actions in his previous life had to be withdrawn from the first body, kept waiting 5 years for the second body, and then reborn to the same family. So I did not have any idea what he was, the first paragraph I didn't. So they were probably family life when they were talking, okay. And kept waiting 5 years for the second body and then reborn to the same family. The child ego did not suffer at all by these occurrences. Okay, I got it. So maybe she waited after the first child passed away, and then when she conceived, the same baby came. He gained much by the opportunities. The child ego did not suffer at all by these occurrences. He gained much by the opportunities available to him in his second body. Being born a few years later is nothing in the scheme of evolution, but often a few years make all the difference to the conditions ruling in a particular family on the physical plane, which can have far-reaching effects on egos born into such environment. Wow. So he was chosen if 5 years later, so he says the same, the physical environment on the earth has improved and, done, and also suitable for him. To sum up, generally it is necessary for a man to return to the home of the ego, which is at the higher mental level, only if he has lived a life in the physical world for an average length of time. To get there, he must pass through the astral world, live his life there, then drop his astral body and in his mental body, drop his astral body and in his mental body, consolidate at the mental level all the mental experiences and intellectual efforts that took place in his last life. This being done, his mental body is also dropped and he does not get new mental and astral vehicles until the time comes for him to incarnate again. I mention this now so that you may realize that a short life on the physical plane often means that the child, having little or no experience to consolidate after such a short physical existence, return to the astral plane only for a few years and is then given a new physical body, retaining the same astral and mental bodies which it had drawn round itself prior to the recent short life on the physical plane. Wow. This is, the children who are born and, and when they die, at a very young age. As you are beginning to appreciate, evolution is a slow process. We would understand it more easily if we could see the scheme as a whole instead of the small part most of us get a glimpse of while living at the physical level. There is much that I shall have to teach you about life at this astral level, and I shall give you an opportunity of asking as many questions as you like concerning the points on which you are not quite clear. Before I go on, however, I propose to try out an experiment with which I think you will be only too anxious to cooperate. Last night I received permission from my master, who is one of the great adepts or perfected men who help to govern. Can you go down? This planet, who govern this planet, to give you the opportunity of seeing for yourself some of the conditions about which I have been talking the last few days. It was my master who sent me to you in the first place. What I propose is that you shall yourself go on an astral journey, and if you will do exactly what I tell you, I think I can help you to remember much of that which you see and do during the time you are out of your body. Tomorrow morning, therefore, I shall not visit you as I usually do. You can spend the morning reading all the notes you made of my talks during the past 6 days. Refresh your memory on every detail possible. For you will need to remember a great deal of what I have told you if you are to be benefit from the opportunity I propose to give you, in the hope that it will make many things which are now not clear easier for you to understand. So he is making him to go to astral travel. You must eat no meat today or tomorrow, not touch alcohol. I know you usually eat very little meat and seldom drink very much, but even a little alcohol will add to my difficulties. For it will be my job to impress on your brain cells on your return to your physical body the necessity for you to remember what you have been doing out of your body. So he has not to take alcohol so that he will remember things when he comes back from the astral world. It may not necessarily be completely successful, but we shall try. And since my master has agreed to do this, to the scheme, I have no doubt that he will help me to carry it out. Tomorrow evening, you must have your last meal at 7 o'clock. Go to your room after dinner and be ready for bed at 9:45 p.m. I have here a tablet which you must take when you go to bed, as it will ensure that you are asleep by 10 o'clock, at which time I shall arrive. Before settling yourself for sleep, try to imagine what you look like lying on your bed. The simplest method of doing this is for you to imagine that immediately above your bed, where the ceiling is, there is a huge mirror.
were this so, what would you do? What would you see in that mirror after you got to bed? That is the picture I wish you to have in mind as you fall asleep. For that, for that is what you will see immediately after you disconnect yourself from your physical body. So he is asking him to go to bed at 9:45 and imagine a mirror on the roof to see his physical body. It's a huge mirror. What's this? So what you at first you may be surprised at seeing what appears to be you lying on the bed, whereas the real you is looking at that physical body. That instinctively you become somewhat frightened, and the result of that fear would be a hurried return to the body on the bed, and you would wake up again. I am warning you beforehand what to expect, as I wish to avoid this. Although you get out of your body every night, you do not remember anything about this because you are not conscious of getting out. Now, I am trying to arrange that there will be no break of consciousness at all between your falling asleep and realizing your detachment from your physical body. I shall try to help you to retain that continuity of consciousness right from the moment of your falling asleep to the moment of your return to your body in the morning. Then you will have no difficulty in remembering and being able to describe in detail all you have done in your astral body during the hours when your physical body remained lying on the bed. Without this continuity of consciousness, you would remember little or nothing of such things, only bringing back a fragment of one or more happenings, which you would probably describe as a dream. Most people's dreams are fragments of what they have been doing during their sleep, which the brain cells often distort. It is never easy to remember every detail correctly, and it takes years of study, concentration, and practice to achieve anything like perfect results. That is why I cannot guarantee that you will remember everything, even when helped by my master. If perchance you are entirely successful, you must not be disappointed if you find, as undoubtedly you will, that on future occasions when you wake up, you are unable to bring through anything at all. Though you are unable to bring through anything at all. Okay, don't worry, even if you don't. Okay, now I will leave you until you will meet tomorrow night. The day after tomorrow, I shall not see you either, because I wish you to write down all you can remember of your astral experiences. We shall discuss these when I see you again in the flesh in 3 days' time, at the usual hour. Have faith in yourself, and all will be well. Chapter 4. You want me to continue, or somebody will take over?
I can continue.
Okay.
So in this chapter 3, the author is explained about the soul evolution. So he was first talking about the souls which are not much evolved. So those souls, what happens to them after death, and then coming back to the babies, like when the kids, when they die early at an young age, what happens to them. He was talking about that. And now coming back, as we know, this is a narration which is going on. So he's telling that he's not going to come back because he instructed everything about the astral travel, and he wants the author to experience that. So after that only he says he'll come back and he will meet him after he experiences the astral travel. So let us see how it happens to author in this chapter 4. Moving on. Part of my instructions were that I should write down everything I could remember about last night's happening. This sounds simpler than it proved to be, for I can tell you at once that the experiment was successful in every way. I do not know if I have remembered everything that happened. I expect my teacher will tell me that today, but I have remembered so much that I have had to marshal my thoughts very carefully to get it written down. It was a dark, moonless night. I went to bed at 9:45 p.m. as I had been instructed, took the tablet which had been given to me and concentrated on imagining what I would see in a mirror above my bed. I have a little French clock which stands beside my bed. It is a great treasure of mine, for it cost a small fortune when I bought it as an impecunious undergraduate at Cambridge. It chimes both the quarters and hours with a soft silvery note that has never either stopped or interfered with my sleeping. I had heard it strike a quarter to 10, for then I had taken my tablet. It was just when I heard the first silvery chime starting to herald in the four quarters preceding the striking of 10 o'clock that I seemed to feel something quite unusual going on in my body. Something inside, it seemed as if it were loose, and I felt what I can only describe as a sliding movement, which I suppose was really myself slipping out of my physical body. For before the clock had started to record its 10 strokes, I found myself suspended in space and looking at my body lying on the bed exactly as I was told I would do. Only I was not standing on the floor, but perhaps a foot above it. It was really later when I realized this had been so. When I became aware of existing apart from my body, my heart seemed to palpitate. But I cannot say I was exactly frightened, and I certainly did not have any desire to rush back. To say I was surprised is putting it mildly. I was excited. I was thrilled. That was a semblance of fear also, a fear of the unknown, a fear of the unusual. So here he's explaining about his astral experience. To my astonishment, it was as light as day. This was my first realization of the light, which rules everywhere and all the time at the astral level. And although I had hardly noticed its character at the time, I found later that it is a blue-gray light. If you can imagine what a room looks like just after dawn is breaking, only much lighter, it will give you some idea of the appearance of my room. I had a merry laugh behind me, which oddly enough did not startle me at all. I turned around and there was Charles looking exactly the same as when I had seen him last. Obviously, he was enjoying my surprise and my incredulous expression, and his face was breathed in smiles with all the jolly old wrinkles that I knew so well showing as in the days that were gone. Automatically, I clasped him by the hand. At once, I felt that his hand clasp was as firm as real as it used to be. My Indian friend, whom I had not noticed before, but who was also in the room, said, "Yes, he is real, all right. All right, as I told you, and because you are using at the moment the same type of body as he is using, he naturally is as real to you as you are to him." So, in that astral travel, he is meeting his dead brother, Charles, there it seems. My joy at seeing Charles was so great that I suppose I spent quite a minute or two shaking him by the hand, putting my hands on his shoulders, and altogether satisfying myself that he was really there in the flesh. I should have described it. I found it difficult to appreciate that although the astral body looks like the physical so far as features are concerned, yet it is not in any way physical and has no flesh, bones, or tissues. However, Charles was real enough for me, and I started asking him 1,001 questions, such as one does with a person one loves and whom one has not seen for some time. I wanted to know how he was, what he was doing, was he happy, etc. And when he could get a word in edgeways, he quietly said, "Don't you worry, I'm all right and having a good time. As you will see for yourself." I commented on his still wearing uniform. So he's saying that except for the flesh, everything else was almost, astral body was almost like physical except for the flesh. And he was so happy to meet his brother Charles, and he started asking all the questions. How are you? how is how is it going, everything. So now the conversation is continuing. "Oh, I am," he replied, and went on to say that he had not thought about what he was wearing. My Indian friend then explained that I saw Charles dressed in his uniform because that was what he was wearing the last time I had seen him. And so I unknowingly had made a thought form of him dressed in his uniform, and the plastic astral matter had immediately responded to my thought. He told me also that even if Charles had thought about what he was wearing before seeing me, I should not have seen him dressed in the type of clothing he had imagined, unless he had mentioned it to me. I would always see him dressed as I imagined he would be. So he's saying whatever we imagine works in the astral world. So that's why, because he had seen him wearing the uniform, he's seeing his brother in the uniform. So my Indian friend then asked me what I would like to do. Charles suggested that we start with an astral dinner and asked me if I would like to go to the Trocadero Grill, which was a favorite haunt of ours when we were in England together. Naturally, I said yes, wondering how it would be managed. But having seen Charles alive, very much alive, in fact, I felt that nothing was impossible. Come along then, let's go, said Charles, and began to leave the room. I went to open the door, and Charles immediately started pulling my leg about it. He explained that I would have to get accustomed to going through doors on the astral plane without bothering to open them. And although it seemed strange, I found that this was so, for the door offered no obstacle to my passage. As my bedroom is on the first floor, I started going down the stairs in the usual way. I noticed that Charles, who was ahead of me, did not use the steps at all, but just floated down a foot or so above them. And I found I could do the same. This floating about was certainly a strange sensation at first, but the absence of the force of gravity, to which we are so accustomed at the physical level, soon proved a great advantage, and one which one gets used to very quickly. We set out at what seemed a pretty fast pace. I kept close to Charles, and my Indian friend was on the other side of me. I asked Charles how he knew the way to England, to which he replied that you soon get used to finding your way about. We passed over the harbor, traveling about 10 yards above the sea. I looked round and saw the lights of Colombo fading in the distance. Sorry. Then for a few seconds, we did not seem to be passing anything at all. It was difficult to distinguish the actual places that we passed, for almost as soon as they came into view on the horizon, we had passed them. Apart from this fact, the sense of amazing speed was hardly noticeable, for there was no headwind such as one notices at high speeds in the physical world. There did not seem to be any resistance at all, and I found later that there is none, for the astral matter is so fine in texture that passing through it at what must be terrific speed compared with what we are used to here makes no difference at all. It is so fascinating, right? He is explained everything in so detail, like how the gravity is absent in the astral world, how the doors, how we can pass through.
As though we can see, in front of our eyes.
Everything is so live. So in detail is given. In about the same time that it has taken.
Or anybody wants to read? Sajjan, do you want to read?
I'll go after you, Madhuri.
Okay.
Okay.
Then Tiskona Deepika? Maybe
Sure.
then we can do it.
Sure.
In about the same time that has taken me to describe this journey, we came to land which Charles informed me was Old England. He told me that he had taken more or less a straight course, for naturally it was unnecessary to make any deviations, as land or sea made no difference to travel under astral conditions. When we reached England, which I recognized when we slowed down over Dover, I became fascinated with the ease with which we moved. It is difficult to describe in ordinary language, but if you can imagine what it would be like if you are able to travel at any speed you wished, merely by expressing a thought to that effect, that should give you some idea of the process. We had gone up higher as we approached the land, and how we floated some yards above the tallest houses over London. Actually, Deepika, when you were explaining it, I was thinking, how would they go from one place to another so fast? So now I got the answer.
He has given everything in detail.
Yeah, it's like you think and then you appear there. That's really cool. Because when he was saying that he was climbing down the steps and then walking through the doors, I thought, like they're walking, but at the same time, one feet above the land, above the ground. So maybe when they reach the destination, they go slower, but when they have to reach when they have to go from one place to another, then they increase their speed of travel, I guess. We had left Ceylon shortly after 10 p.m., which was 5:30 p.m. in England. We came down to street level when we were over Hyde Park. I knew it was still daylight, for no lights were showing, but the light of astral world was just the same here as in the East, where it was the night time. I commented on this and was told that as the astral body never requires rest, there is neither night nor day as the astral travel. This was one of the first interesting points of difference between the two worlds, which made an impression on me. Charles suggested that I might like to go along Oxford and Regent streets to see how it felt to walk in my astral body. To be walking along Oxford Street, where I had not been since 1939, just before the outbreak of war, was indeed intriguing. The street was thronged with people, as one would expect it to be at this time of the day. Although the pavements were crowded, this did not seem to make any difference to us because we actually walked through people in their physical bodies who were traveling in the opposite direction. It is not strictly correct to say that we were unaware of walking through them, for we felt as if we were passing through a small cloud of mist when we did so. For a moment, we were enveloped in it. Then we were through it, and everything around us was clear. The mist did not in any way impede our progress, but we did feel it. And in a similar way, when we came into contact with other people using their astral bodies, we felt them to a slight extent through they did not in any way hinder us. In the world, what did he say? The mist did not in any way impede our progress, but we did feel it. In a similar way, when we came into contact with the other people using their astral bodies, we felt them to be slight extent through. They did not in any way hinder us. In the world, I have often seen a person shudder and in a joking way say that something was walking over his grave. I know now this sensation must have been caused by a physical body coming into the contact with an astral entity, which although the astral matter is too fine in texture to interfere with the physical body passing through it, leaving a slight impression. So here he's talking about how they're passing through the physical bodies, but the physical bodies, those are us, could not even feel anything because they were going against the physical bodies. And here he talked about the astral body, walking with the other astral bodies. And so there is sensation, is that what he said? When
I think he says they feel the mist, but it doesn't upset their travel or something. But the sensation is there.
Okay, if
feeling.
The two astral bodies are going in the same direction or passing through, then there is sensation of the mist of the cloud. Is that?
Yeah. So they can feel the mist of the cloud, but nothing. I think
nothing
stops them. Yeah.
Okay. So they don't dash each other, in other words.
Yeah, only to a slight extent he has given. So it's just a touch like that. So it doesn't.
Like when we walk through the mist, you know that you're walking through the mist, but nothing stops you, kind of. I thought that my Indian friend must look rather unusual in these surroundings in his Eastern clothes. So mentioned this to him. He replied, I do not suppose you know that I have changed my clothes. If you will look at me now, you will see that I am dressed in a similar way to the Europeans as we see around us. I did look, and it was so. His turban was no longer there, and as his skin was almost as white as ours, he looked very much like one of the Indian students who were so often seen in London. Because he mentioned it, I saw him as he had imagined himself. He explained that one soon gets used to changing one's clothes as circumstances, which, come on, where is it? He looked very much like one of the Indian students who were so often seen in London. Because he mentioned it, I saw him as he had imagined himself. He explained that one who gets used to changing one's clothes as circumstances makes such change desirable. The plastic astral body immediately obeys the thought even as it is made. I said, I would like to stroll into Selfridges, which we were passing at the moment. No one objected, so we went in and I made my way to the bookstall. I have always been attracted by books, and picking up one of the new ones, I turned over its pages. As I did so, I noticed that there was no gap in shelf from which I took it, and on inquiring why this was so, I was told that when I was holding in my hand was a thought form of the book I was interested in, the physical one on the shelf not having been moved at all. It was amazing sensation. I wandered around the huge empty shop, for naturally at that time of evening it was closed to the public, and I heard quite plainly the clocks in the nearby department chiming the hour of 6 o'clock. What a lot had happened in a half an hour that has elapsed since I got out of my physical body 6,000 miles away. My companions seemed highly amused at the interest I was showing in things, but Charles obviously enjoyed the unique position of the guide, exactly as we all enjoy showing a friend around a new country, as we often do in the mysterious Eastern, where we met most of the big incoming liners bringing friends from home on their first visit. So here they are saying the Indian friend could change the dresses with one thought, and after that he talked about how he likes the books, and then he took the book from the shelf, but the physical book is still on the shelf. Only the the thought form of that book is in his hands. So essentially, if we are in astral body and if we want to do something, you can get it, but the physical form will not be affected. That's what he's saying it here.
Just with the thought itself, we can get whatever you want.
So in other words, if we want to slap somebody in the physical form, I don't think we can do that.
You will only feel a slight hindrance over there, even slapping it.
Well, you will feel
the
it.
active person will not get slapped anyway.
Yeah, the astral body will feel it, but the physical body will not feel it, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, Madhvi, shall I take?
Yes, Sailja.
Yeah. Charles said he wanted to show me some of the damage that had been done to London through the raids. He took me to various places, such as St. Paul's, where it was very, very obvious what Londoners had suffered from these dreadful bombings. It was necessary to travel above the main buildings of the city to see the damage properly, but in our astral bodies, that proved no difficulty at all. As we were walking along a street, Charles said, "Come on," and immediately floated over the heads of the stream of traffic. I found it quite easy to follow, as immediately I expressed in thought a wish to do the same. I found myself side by side with Charles, floating gracefully and easily over the crowded metropolis of London. He suggested that we have a look at our old home in Warwickshire, which I had not seen for many years, and in what seemed a few seconds only, Charles had steered me to the right spot. I asked him how he knew his way about so easily, having only lived under astral plane conditions for such a relatively short time. He told me that he had made many friends on the other side who had been only too glad to put him
wise to the different conditions. And besides this, his training as a pilot in the RAF had taught him quite a lot about going to places as the crow flies. Seeing the here that also he working as a pilot also helping him, he's saying in his astral world, right?
Yeah, for navigation.
Yeah. Seeing the river Avon winding its way through the lovely Warwickshire countryside was pleasant, and soon we came down to earth near the spot where our former home stood. How well I knew the old place, even though since I had seen it last, many small houses had sprung up in the immediate neighborhood. The house still looked the same. Even the two lawns in front and behind seemed much as they had been when Charles and I played on them as youngsters. I wondered who lived there now, for after my father died, it had been sold because my mother was not left sufficient money to keep up the place, and I, the elder son, had settled in the east. I walked inside, for by this time I was beginning to realize that a closed door made no difference, and saw strange people occupying the rooms we had loved in the old days. I supposed it was very foolish, but they seemed to be to me to be intruders, and with the different furniture around, the atmosphere of the house had quite changed. We did not stay very long, but soon returned to London. It was certainly very thrilling to stand in the center of Piccadilly Circus, where the flower girls used to be in the days of peace, but without the figure of Eros, which had been removed to avoid damage. I didn't understand what he's saying here. Bala?
He's saying about some the circus.
Where the flower girls
Maybe.
used to be in the days of peace, but without the figure of a rose, which had been removed to avoid damage. Okay. The crowds were still there, and the buses and taxis continued on their normal rounds. The only obvious difference was the number of men and women in uniform. In fact, there seemed to be more people in uniform than in civilian clothes, which brought home to me that England was not only a country at war, but a country where every able-bodied man and woman was expected to take his or her part in the defense of their beloved land. It was nearly 7 o'clock when Charles suggested that we have dinner at the Trocadero Grill. We walked into the foyer where we found the most of the small tables round the wall were already occupied. My Indian friend then said that he would leave me in Charles' care while we had dinner, as he had other work to do, and he would join us later. Assuring me that Charles was well able to introduce me to this type of amusement on the astral plane, and with a cordial "have a good dinner," he left us. Charles explained one of the very important points which must be understood when having an astral meal or drinks in a restaurant, which existed in reality at the physical level as compared with doing the same thing in a restaurant that had been created by ourselves through the medium of imagination or thought. He said that it was always unwise to sit down at the table, which actually existed at the physical level, for as we were invisible people who came in and saw the vacant table, but who did not see us, would naturally take possession of it. Which would be, I am reading in the iPad, Madhavi. Are you taking care of? Yeah.
Yes.
Because I'm not looking at the phone. I just opened this PDF and would naturally take possession of it, which would be slightly inconvenient. When they sat down, they would not feel our presence, but the same sort of thing would occur to us as when we passed through the crowds on the streets. When a physical person sat on the chair that was occupied by you in your astral body, you naturally expected to feel something, and although there was no resultant unpleasant feeling, it was not entirely pleasant. It could be avoided, he said, by producing in thought a table for one's own party in a space where physically no table stood. He did so right away in the foyer of the Trocadero and asked me to sit down. He told me that by thought also he would produce a waiter who would appear to us exactly the same as the other waiters we saw moving about on their normal business, but that this waiter would not be seen by the physical occupants of the foyer. He did this, and at once I saw a waiter approaching our table who asked us what we would drink in just the same way that we would have expected that we been there as ordinary members of the physical world. Charles ordered a dry sherry and a whiskey and soda. For Charles told me that my having been prohibited alcohol for the 2 days prior to this experiment did not apply here. I was supplied with my drink and Charles with his, and the taste to me was exactly what I had expected it to be. I was told that had I never tasted whiskey in the world, I would not have been able to appreciate the taste of it at the astral travel, though I should undoubtedly have tasted in the astral liquid what I presumed to be the taste of the whiskey. Charles told me that one day when my Indian friend was instructing him in these things, he asked him to have a drink. He ordered a glass of water, telling Charles that it would be useless for him to order whiskey, sherry, or vodka, as he had never tasted them in his present physical life. So, not being able to imagine the taste of these drinks, all the pleasure would be lost. The same thing applies to smoking. My Indian friend never smoked, so even if offered a cigarette at the astral travel, he always refused it, as not knowing the pleasure derived from a cigarette, he would not have enjoyed making a thought form of drawing in smoke and blowing it out again. Then sounded quite logical, and I felt glad that I had the experience of drinking and smoking, for I enjoy both of these simple pleasures. And anything.
This is funny.
Yeah. That means, Balagaru, anything which we need to experience there, we should have experienced in this physical world. Then only we will experience there also, right?
Maybe me and my husband, we will go after going to astral world. I want to see all the places which I did not travel much on this physical earth.
Okay, yeah. We sipped our drinks and watched the people. We could even hear the buzz of conversation all around us, and this bore out the point which had been made, that every physical sound has its astral counterpart, and as it were, sounds a note which can be heard by those using the astral body. Chala, do anyone want to take?
Bala madam, you missed actually last chapter. In last chapter, he said entire world can be finished off in 2.5 minutes.
2 minutes. Yeah.
So you'll be done. World tour will be very easy.
Every night you can go for world tour, Balagaru.
Yeah, I'm waiting. Because I enjoy traveling. My husband, like he is so busy, always his work. So I always miss seeing all this, especially nowadays, all the youngsters, they go and they see all these places.
Somebody, I don't remember whether in our class only in this session only someone told that it is nothing different like Harry Potter.
Ah, okay.
Also they fly, they go, they
Yeah.
like that. Someone told, I don't know, I don't remember here or some other place. Yeah. Looking at the various types of people who were
Deepika, Sajjan, let's see if Prachi wants to read.
Sure, Madhvi. Okay. Did we lost where we were?
47, right? Yeah.
Yeah, looking at the para starts with looking at the various types of people.
I don't. Yeah, you. Upar. Yeah.
Upar.
Somewhere. No, bas idhar hi kahin tha. हाँ, just then I got.
Page 47, Madhvi.
After drinking part is over.
Baha gurtundi drinking part ayinanka.
Yeah, from the beginning, looking at the various.
This is the one.
Looking at the various types of people who were constantly coming and going, I should not have realized that at that moment, England was fighting with her back to the wall for her very existence. They all seemed to be enjoying life, and there was plenty of laughter intermingled with the chatter, which continued without a break. Charles called out to a young man dressed in Air Force uniform who had just arrived. They greeted each other with much enthusiasm. Charles brought brought him over to our table and introduced him as Roy Chapman, a pilot who had been killed in the Battle of Britain the previous autumn. He was a good type, and when I asked him how he liked living under astral world condition, his reply was enlightening. It's all right, he said, but boring after a time. At first, of course, it's rather nice being able to get everything you want without paying for it, but the novelty wears off, and frankly, I would far rather still be with the old squadron. I thought it is a unique opportunity for finding out things. So I asked him what he did with this time. He replied that he did more or less what the spirit moved him to do and went on to stay at the moment. He was waiting for a girl he knew to meet him for dinner. I asked if the girl was dead or alive. He said, "Oh, dead, of course. If you still want to use that old-fashioned expression, it's useless making dates with people still living in the world, as just when you are in the middle of something interesting, they have to go back to their bodies." In the few minutes, in the few minutes that were left before his girlfriend arrived, I gathered from him that he had tried all the usual games and found them pretty boring. To play golf, for example, and he had been a low handicapped man before he was killed, was pretty, to play a golf, for example, was pretty futile. When all you had to do was imagine that you had a birdie or an eagle for the thing to be an established fact. There was no such thing as competition, as you only had to make a thought form of beating your opponent for it to happen. The same applied to billiards. There were no fun in making a big break when you could always do it at will. The element of chance was lacking, which took away the charms from all games of skill. I saw that and realized that my Indian friend was indeed right when he said that life on the astral plane could be boring for those whose interests were entirely dependent on physical plane condition. I asked Roy whether he had been fond of music or art during his lifetime, to which he replied that he had not. He had done a spot of dancing and liked music now and then, but he could not say that he had ever given it much serious thought. I suppose that when eventually he got tired of meeting friends and living on the fringe of physical plane life, um, he would find something else to interest him. Wait, I suppose that when eventually he got tired of meeting friends and living on the fringe of physical plane life, he would find something else to interest him, or life would in time become boring in the extreme. His girlfriend arrived about this time, and he certainly knew how to pick them. She was beautiful, really beautiful, and they made a perfect couple as they wandered down the stairs towards the grill room, where presumably they had arranged to have dinner. I told Charles that I would have loved to ask him what his impression had been when he was first thrown into astral condition. Charles replied that he did not think he would have wanted to talk about that very much. None of us does, you know. I wondered why, but I did not like to ask just then. We went then down into the grill room and choosing a spot near a corner where there was no table, Charles made a thought form of one of us. A waiter arrived almost as we sat down and asked us what we could eat. Charles told me to order anything I fancied. I must say I was not exactly hungry, but the unique experience made me order a sole a la bonne femme, chicken Maryland to follow. Then a peachy Malba and a cup of black coffee. Charles ordered 2 Bristol cream sherries with and a bottle of Chambertin 1933. This being a year which he said he knew will be good. I asked if these drinks were actually on the wine list in wartime, to which Charles replied that he did not know, but that in any case it didn't matter. For on astral plane you got whatever you ordered, whether it was procurable at the physical level or not. I enjoyed my dinner, the cooking being, of course, as perfect as I had imagined it would be. I just could not get over my sitting in the Trocadero, having a perfectly normal dinner with old Charles, surrounded by just the types of people I knew would be there on almost any night of the week. How beautiful it is, right? You can do anything at that level. Just then, I caught a sight of an old pal whom I had not seen for years. The last time we met was on board ship in 1935 when I was returning to Ceylon from my home leave and he to Malaya. I strolled over to him, leaving Charles at our table. My friend in a party of 4 was obviously enjoying himself since he was holding forth the way he always did. I tapped him on the shoulder and said, "What on earth are you doing here?" But he took no notice of me. He took no notice of me at all and continued with his story. And he certainly was in good form, for I could hear every word he said, and his companies were in fits of laughter. I found it quite impossible to make any impression on him. So, in disgust, I turned back to my table where I found Charles highly amused at my discomfort. How the devil could I tell whether he was real or unreal? I asked. Charles replied that he was amused at my use of words real and unreal, for they just do not exist here. He explained that at first it was difficult to tell, but there was a difference. The astral body which we saw was not clearly outlined in the case of a man using his physical body, whereas that of a permanent resident in the astral world. Also, of a man functioning at an astral level during sleep had a much clear outline. There was another difference to be noted, and that was the faint silken cord of etheric matter, which was also attached to those who were temporary visitors, who never seemed to be quite as much alive as the permanent inhabitants. You soon got to used to judging, apart from the silken cord, which was not easy to see. He asked me to compare Roy Chapman with the other diners in the grill room. There certainly was a difference, for the outline of Roy's body was more clearly defined than that of others. The reason for this may be that when the astral body is being used as a permanent vehicle, the ego inhabiting it has no dual existence as it has when the man is still living at the physical level. So I guess what he's, I'm not exactly sure, but I have to read again, but it seems that when his pal, when he met his pal, he's saying that it didn't matter to him. Like he thought that is it real or unreal? How devil that he's not looking at me. So then he said that the way we can find the difference is one, that you are not a permanent resident here. And then second was the etheric matter, the cord that has been attached because you're still sleeping. So the ego, this is where I didn't understand. So that means the ego is still there when you are down also sleeping and you're up here visiting. That's why he was not looking at him. Anybody else understood in a different way? I was not sure.
The way I understood, the temporary ones who go to astral world in the sleep, they have the silver cords we can
Attached to it,
see,
yeah.
attached still. But the permanent astral ones, they don't have that silver cord attached to it.
But is that the reason that he couldn't see the other pal? He didn't really worry about him.
Yeah, because he could see and talk to him. Other person could not react because he was still leaving his physical body and he still had that connection to the astral body.
Okay, that's why he could see, but the other person couldn't see.
Yeah, the ego is stopping that physical.
The ego is stopping. Okay. Our dinner came to an end.
I think we'll stop after this page, Prachi.
Yeah, we can stop actually. It's 1:30.
Yeah, we'll stop.
Okay.
I think maybe we'll read this one more time, the last paragraph.
Yeah, I think we should.
And then
Because
try
this, I think this is very nicely explained where the two differences that they're pointing out, how to be different in astral, like how to find out that you are really in the astral world or not. So yeah, I will. And after the book reading also, I read it all by myself, you know, in a very quiet place so that I understand.
Yeah.
Very interesting astral world. I wonder we should experience putting a mirror over our putting a mirror over our head on the top, you know, essay to see, to put a mirror on the ceiling and we can really see ourselves.
But do we really need it? Because once when you come out of the body, you can see the astral, you can see the physical body, isn't it?
We do, but I think not everybody have that experience, right? So I'm just saying, you know, it's just a joking
Yeah,
thing.
I know. No, I mean, like we do see it. I mean, we do.
We're
go
not
every
aware of
time.
it. I'm sure we see, like, you know, the way he said it, in when somebody come, as if the waiter comes, no, when you're in the restaurant, and if you are in the on the physical level, if you're in a restaurant and there is a person sitting on a chair, and you as an astral level, you are sitting on the same chair, just because that other person cannot see you, you still feel a slight a different energy, you know, you still feel slight uncomfortable, you're still uncomfortable on a very slight pace. So our body, because there is there is this interference of another physical body that is already sitting there. So I guess it's just like that. It is there, but we don't see it, we are not aware of it.
Yeah.
It was a very beautiful example of the restaurant they did.
True. I mean, it is like, yeah. So whatever we experience in this physical world, if we go to astral world, then we can experience those tastes. But you haven't, if you haven't tasted anything here, then you wouldn't know anything.
Yeah.
How it tastes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, Balagaru, I think I don't know whether you missed it or not, but in the last chapters, what they said was the things like music, dance, and any creative things that we practice here, it will, it can be practiced in astral world, but games, like he was talking about, right? The golf.
Yeah.
If you think that the ball has to go in that hole, it will go.
Immediately it will go, then it is no competition, it's boring after a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
मजा नहीं आता है कभी.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. I read the chapter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and also that's why he says even the money and all, even the business people who are so busy, you know, making money and working hard, they get bored because they don't know other life other than, you know. But if you have interest in, you know, literature or anything like music, art, anything, then they are all there. Then if you want to learn music, you can learn. You can, you know, dance, same thing, something like that. You know, I think nature, seeing the nature, you know, enjoying all that you can do, but not the financial and the physical things, which that games, which there. If for players and all, he says, you know, it's very boring. Yeah, it's very interesting.
Does anybody know that myth of looking into the mirror when we sleep? You know, I mean, my mom always says that you should not have a mirror when you're sleeping. The mirror should not be in front of you.
I don't know. I don't.
This is like a big thing in North India side, that when you are sleeping, so you should not. So because
see your image.
Yeah, you should not see your image on the mirror. So if just in case there is no other way to put a mirror, put a kapda on the mirror to hide it. I wonder if this is the reason. I don't know. Now I'm very curious.
Maybe, but maybe that is true, because it used to be common, in olden days, astral travel, and because people were abusing, then it stopped working. So maybe.
If you put a mirror in front of you, what would happen? I think I missed that point in the book.
So in North India, usually my mom and everybody had this belief that when you go to sleep, you should not be sleeping in front of mirror. Like if you're sleeping, your image of sleeping should not be shown in the mirror. So we have to either, so for example, our bed is exactly in front of the mirror, but our mirror is too high. So when even if I'm sitting on the bed, I cannot see myself in the mirror. So in the night, we have to cover the mirror. And I wonder now that this is the reason. This exactly, like, I'm like, I have to find the actual reason why the mirror need to cover. Is this that we see our astral body, or what is it? I'm very curious now.
Maybe that is true. People get scared when they see suddenly the astral body.
The image, yeah.
The same thing.
What he said, right? That when you go to sleep at 9:45, put a mirror. Imagine yourself that you are seeing. There is a mirror in above you, and you are seeing yourself as you are sleeping. But actually, your body is out there, and you are looking at your own body.
Yeah.
So I guess this is the main reason for. It's very amazing.
Actually, I heard for a small kids, they say not to show mirror when they're very small, young.
They're very small, young, because they are very pure. I think this is all related to this only. Even when you're sleeping, even when you're sleeping, while sleeping, you should not take a picture of anybody who's sleeping, you should not take a picture of it. And like how we take pictures of how cute the baby is.
Because they get scared, because suddenly, I guess that's probably that is true.
This is amazing fact.
For first few days they say not to take the picture of the baby. I mean, I think they didn't say the reason behind it, but I think it's more like nazar padega, that's why you should not take it. That's what they say.
I would like to find more in detail about it.
So for the meditation, it's a 10:30 Madhvi, Colorado time, but the Colorado meditation.
Your time 10:15.
10:15. Okay.